That we have a lot of fight, but obviously it's hard in this league to come back because every team's really good. So getting in a hole like that is tough, but we definitely showed fight, but we can't start off like that in the first.
Paige, 4 of your 6 20-plus point games have come in the last 5 games. What's been behind your recent scoring surge?
I think just being aggressive, looking to create my own shot, which also helps me create for others. Just big.
Athletic institutions encounter major business and performance obstacles when key athletes become inaccessible for prominent competitions. Recent circumstances have demonstrated how individual health issues can influence wider institutional goals while simultaneously revealing fundamental squad cohesion difficulties that affect sustained achievement. The unavailability of premier athletes from expected showcase events generates considerable financial consequences for media partners, facility managers, and league promotional programs. Broadcasting companies that allocate substantial resources to programming based on star athlete appearances encounter immediate income reduction when those attractions become inaccessible.
But because of her groin injury that was sparked by what? Is it an offset byproduct of the strained quad? Caitlin Clark will not be playing tonight. And Ion Network is, I'm sure because this is a Friday night, they're probably carrying the game, which sucks. They put on a pretty good broadcast, frankly.
Eagerly awaited competitions between notable athletes create extraordinary business interests, stimulating ticket purchases, product income, and broadcast audiences to standards considerably surpassing typical contest attendance. The elimination of such possibilities represents lost opportunities for significant financial benefits across numerous institutional participants. Facility adjustments, implemented specifically to support anticipated large crowds, illustrate the economic influence of star athlete presence. When venues increase capacity or transfer contests to larger facilities based on expected demand, the following absence of essential athletes generates operational and financial difficulties.
But reading what the game needs from me on that given night, and for this team, what this team needs me to be, which is I feel like is aggressive on offense. And then my teammates doing a great job of getting me the ball, screening, coach drawing up plays for me, and giving me the opportunity to do that.
Hi, Paige. That half-court, or not half-court, that halftime record for that buzzer beater shot, was that the hope? Was that the spark? Was that the momentum that you feel like you and your
The anticipation of franchise attendance achievements and regional broadcasting landmarks reflects the transformative influence certain athletes have on business sustainability. These estimates suggest how individual abilities can elevate entire institutions beyond traditional market constraints. Health issue development patterns that affect multiple connected muscle areas generate prolonged absence durations with expanding consequences on squad performance and institutional preparation. When initial health issues lead to compensatory difficulties in related muscle frameworks, recovery schedules become uncertain and potentially extended.
This is a nightmare for them because they could have been staring at what potentially would have been for their network, a ratings-breaking game. Not anymore. Not anymore. The Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark will miss her second straight game with a left groin strain. Clark was listed as out on Friday night's game against the Dallas Wings.
The connection between specific health issues and performance reduction offers insight into how physical constraints influence overall competitive capacity. Hip strains frequently result from thigh muscle compensation, generating interconnected difficulties that demand comprehensive recovery methods. Medical administration choices concerning playing duration and health issue prevention reflect institutional priorities regarding immediate competitive objectives versus extended athlete wellness considerations. The equilibrium between instant performance requirements and sustainable career administration generates complex decision-making situations. Internal squad relationships disclosed through public declarations suggest significant institutional malfunction extending beyond typical competitive obstacles. When experienced athletes recognize separation and coordination difficulties, it indicates essential collapse in cultural solidarity and shared mission.
Your teammates needed to go into that second half to get the lead over Indiana a couple times there?
I think for the most part, a lot of our effort in the second quarter on doing our very slow start to cut it to 13 after we were down 23. That was just huge. We wanted to get it to as close as to 10 as possible. And then I think really the spark was that third quarter defensively, us locking in and really paying attention to the details of the scout and making things as difficult as possible for them.
The description of colleagues as functioning in isolated areas rather than operating as coordinated participants represents serious institutional failure demanding immediate action. Such separation usually emerges when guidance fails to create clear expectations or when individual priorities replace squad goals. Earlier institutional achievement in sustaining squad solidarity offers contrast that emphasizes present cultural decline. The comparison between past unity and current division indicates specific elements contributing to institutional collapse.
Fever team release at 2 p.m. Friday's highly anticipated game would have pivoted Clark, the first overall pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, against former UConn star Paige Bueckers, the #1 overall pick in last April. The Stars played twice in college. Huskies win in the 2023 Sweet 16 and a Hawkeyes win in the 2024 final.
Guidance change consequences on squad chemistry illustrate how coaching modifications can influence cultural consistency and shared identity. When fresh administration fails to sustain proven cultural methods, it can generate instability that influences competitive performance. Squad strengthening pursuits and organized social exchanges fulfill significant functions in forming personal connections beyond basketball competition. The discontinuation of such programs without sufficient replacement frameworks can contribute to cultural separation. The recognition of separate groups within institutions shows how uncontrolled individual variations can generate competing loyalties that weaken shared goals. Successful squads usually showcase unified atmosphere despite character diversity.
Paige, you talked about Kyrie being your favorite player, and his game compared to yours, the dribbling, the ball handling, shiftiness, the mid-range game. How did you decide that that was the right style for you when you were developing your game?
I want to be as unguardable as possible, and I feel like Kyrie's probably one of the most unguardable people to ever play the game.
Analysis about specific cluster arrangements within dysfunctional squads frequently reflects observable behavioral tendencies and connection relationships. While such examination remains theoretical, it offers framework for understanding complex personal circumstances. External examination strengthens pressure on institutions experiencing internal challenges, generating additional obstacles for sustaining concentration and solidarity. Prominent squads encounter enhanced media focus that can worsen existing difficulties through constant assessment. Business achievement generates elevated expectations that constrain squad connections when performance falls below projected results. Institutions labeled as premier franchises must handle increased pressure while addressing essential operational difficulties.
Final four. The Wings moved Friday night's game from their usual College Park Center with 7,000 capacity to the American Airlines Center at 20,000 capacity. They moved it to the Dallas Mavericks Arena. The sellout was expected to be a franchise attendance record as well as a record for any WNBA game played in Texas.
The comparison to established professional athletics franchises reflects the business and competitive benchmarks expected from transformational athletic institutions. Such comparisons generate pressure for immediate achievement while emphasizing operational shortcomings. Broadcasting alliances and income distribution frameworks depend heavily on star athlete accessibility and competitive product excellence. When institutions fail to provide expected entertainment worth, it influences wider league business sustainability. Attendance achievements and audience landmarks represent measurable indicators of institutional achievement that extend beyond traditional competitive measures. The inability to capitalize on business opportunities influences both immediate income and extended market development.
So that starts with scoring at all three levels. So adapting the mid-range game was super essential for me in my game, and also being able to get to the rim, shooting from behind the three-point line. So I guess just looking to be a three-level scorer.
Was
Enrique, this will be, you guys have a back-to-back, you obviously have another game tomorrow with no travel. You expend a lot of energy making that comeback. How do you kind of refocus, get your body right, and get ready to turn it around and play less than 24 hours later?
Regional market expansion demands consistent provision of superior entertainment product that builds sustainable fan involvement. When institutions experience operational malfunction, it weakens efforts to create lasting market presence. Staff choices concerning problematic squad members frequently reflect institutional priorities about cultural administration versus talent preservation. The elimination of disruptive influences can enhance chemistry while potentially reducing overall talent standards. Recovery tactics for dysfunctional squad chemistry demands systematic action, addressing both individual conduct and institutional frameworks. Successful restoration usually requires sustained dedication from guidance and athlete acceptance of cultural change programs.
Our Fever forward, Nalissa Smith, now with the Wings, said after shoot-around she expected Friday night's game atmosphere was going to be insane, and said it will be a disappointment for many who hope to watch the two young stars clash. Clark missed her 6th game of the season on Thursday, and we all know how that nightmare turned out, an 85-75 home loss to the Sparks.
Historical examples indicate that squads experiencing significant cultural difficulties demand extended phases to accomplish sustainable solidarity and competitive achievement. Quick solutions rarely address underlying issues that contribute to institutional malfunction. The assessment of coaching effectiveness must consider both strategic competence and cultural guidance capabilities. Tactical knowledge proves insufficient when institutions experience significant chemistry collapses and shared concentration difficulties. Athlete development programs that emphasize cultural integration alongside skill enhancement frequently create better extended outcomes than those concentrated solely on basketball capabilities. Comprehensive approach to competitor development includes character and cooperation elements.
Yeah, just recovery, what we always do after games, try to get some rest, a little bit extended rest for tomorrow, but it's professional basketball, so we got to get locked in and ready for tomorrow.
I have two questions, one for Enrique, one for Paige. For Enrique, for you being your whole career, when you first started here in Dallas to be on this big stage, how much did it mean for you personally? Did you ever envision playing a big game with the airline center like this when you first got here, like your rookie year?
I didn't really think about what to come in the future. I was just happy to be a pro, happy to play basketball.
Media administration becomes essential when internal difficulties risk becoming public knowledge through athlete declarations or observable conduct. Institutions must balance openness with privacy to sustain competitive advantage. The intersection of individual star influence and squad chemistry generates complex relationships where personal achievement must align with shared goals. When these elements clash, it frequently creates institutional instability and performance inconsistency.
So, that leads us into this. This is Sophie Cunningham, and people are starting to give their take on this. I'm going to give mine. I watched Ben Daniels' video, Ben Daniel Podcast, go subscribe, and he talked about, he very astutely and wisely noticed that the locker room, that Sophie literally says, there's a little thing going on in the locker room.
Extended institutional sustainability demands building atmosphere based on shared principles and professional benchmarks rather than temporary solidarity generated through external elements. Squads that depend on common opponents for motivation usually struggle when those connections change. Recovery from cultural separation requires recognizing existing difficulties while executing comprehensive solutions that address both symptoms and underlying causes. Surface-level actions rarely create lasting enhancement in institutional malfunction. Investment in star athletes generates heightened expectations that must be balanced with realistic evaluations of supporting cast capabilities and institutional infrastructure. Achievement demands comprehensive excellence rather than individual brilliance alone.
But the growth that I've seen these last 6 years with women's basketball in general is just growing, and it's amazing to play in this environment, play in front of all these fans, and hopefully this continues.
And for Paige, does it seem like every time you touch the court, the game's slowing down? Is that why you're getting more aggressive and starting to kind of look the way you did at UConn?
I think every single game, from game to game, I'm learning, trying to grow, get better, especially with my reads offensively, specifically ball screen reads, how I can
The business consequences of institutional malfunction extend beyond immediate competitive worries to influence extended market positioning and income generation capabilities. Cultural difficulties can weaken even the most talented rosters when they prevent effective collaboration and shared concentration. The Dallas Wings versus Indiana Fever competition created significant conversation concerning officiating benchmarks and competitive relationships, particularly surrounding Paige Bueckers' remarkable individual performance during a closely fought contest. Despite the Wings' impressive recovery effort from a substantial disadvantage, questions emerged about referee choices and potential inconsistencies in violation calling throughout the event. Bueckers provided an outstanding performance with 27 points, 6 assists, and 1 rebound while guiding Dallas through a dramatic rally that nearly reversed a 25-point deficit. Her individual excellence sparked discussion among observers who noted apparent differences in how contact was officiated for various athletes during essential moments of the contest.
All right. And he even went so far as to say what groups are broke up in the locker room. But she does allude to something like that. I'm not sure Sophie meant for it to come out like that. But it's something I have suspected for a while, maybe about 4 weeks now. It's something that Jason Whitlock jumped face first, head first into the deep end the other.
The Wings' recovery effort demonstrated remarkable resilience and competitive spirit, illustrating the squad's capacity to respond under challenging circumstances. Despite ultimately falling short, their second-half performance disclosed character and determination that extends beyond individual statistics and emphasizes shared squad development. Following the event, Bueckers addressed media representatives about various aspects of the contest, including the squad's recovery mentality, her recent scoring improvement, and the competitive obstacles faced throughout the season. Her responses offered insight into both individual preparation and squad relationships during this developmental phase.
And counter top blocks and aggressive defenders, and how I can just be efficient in my movements and my cuts and offensively. So I think it just comes with film and putting in work in that area.
This both for Paige and Enrique. What have the two of you learned about each other in your first year together in terms of how to play off each other? Rhythm-wise, what do you two learn about each other? That's for both of them.
Yeah, I think we're still growing. We're figuring out each other's tendencies, but obviously there's 3.
When questioned about the squad's ability to mount such a significant recovery, Bueckers emphasized the fighting spirit demonstrated by the roster while recognizing the inherent challenges of recovering from large deficits against quality opposition. She noted that early struggles generate challenging circumstances that demand exceptional effort to overcome. Her recent scoring consistency, including 4 contests exceeding 20 points in the past 5 events, reflects increased aggressiveness and willingness to generate individual scoring opportunities. This approach benefits both personal production and squad offense by creating additional opportunities for colleagues through defensive attention and ball movement.
Other day on that the locker room with the Fever, and just to keep it real, I agree with him on this. I think there are some preferences in the locker room where these young ladies differ in how they handle or how their preferences in their personal lives, and the locker room is divided somewhere along those lines.
Strategic adjustments during halftime proved essential in facilitating the recovery effort. Bueckers credited defensive enhancements and attention to scouting details as primary factors in their second-half achievement, illustrating the importance of tactical adaptation during competitive circumstances. The discussion of her playing style disclosed deliberate modeling after NBA athletes, particularly Kyrie Irving, whose versatility and scoring ability across multiple levels serve as inspiration for her own development. This approach emphasizes becoming as challenging to defend as possible through diverse offensive skill sets. Recovery protocols between consecutive contests present ongoing obstacles for professional athletes, demanding careful attention to physical preparation and mental concentration. Bueckers recognized these requirements while expressing confidence in the squad's ability to sustain competitive benchmarks during compressed scheduling phases.